live. I want to move to a different topic. Neurodiversity. I'm not sure. Yeah, you can hear stuff outside. It's early in the morning, and like an airplane is or a helicopter, but an airplane is flying by, and you're gonna hear that. But whatever. But it's the early morning, and I'm going to talk about neurodiversity because I'm not sure how many people know this. I am a neurodiverse person. That's why in all my YouTube videos, I sound like a weirdo. I sound like, you know, basically, I sound like I always sounded weird in my videos, as you notice. And it's like, as you watch my videos, you can tell, right? This guy is just some neurodiverse person. We're not going to take him seriously. He's just some neurodiverse person. We're just going to, be like, oh, all right, okay, kid. He's neurodiverse. Don't listen to him. Don't take him too seriously. He's not even worth getting mad at. He's just a neurodiverse person. Yeah, I'm not good with sarcasm, maybe. I mean, in real life, people notice my sarcasm. People always call me sarcastic. But when it comes to doing videos, I need to learn how to be more sarcastic because I was just being sarcastic. But I am neurodiverse. And here's what I learned being that. So, ever since seeing that, I'm not sure where it came from, honestly. Like, I really don't know because they said lead poison causes certain disabilities. I'm not sure. But I remember being a little kid and like lead poison was in my body. Like they said I was told when I was a kid lead poison was inside me and I had a disability ever since I was 6 years old, you know. So from my experience, it was like regular kids, like regular little boys and girls. Like girls, they play with dolls and stuff. Little boys, they play with trucks and cars. Like they roll a car around. That's considered normal. So like when I was a kid, I didn't play with trucks or cars nor like regular normal toys and stuff like that. I played with pieces of paper or sometimes string or pieces of plastic, and I would pretend they were people, or I would pretend whatever I wanted it to be, because a toy car would just be a car, or a doll is just a doll and it's nothing else. But when I played with certain pieces of paper and stuff and cut them, it can be whatever I wanted it to be, and that's what I would play with as a kid. So like there's that, and like ever since I was little outside in the schoolyard, I would just go to myself and like be myself. And like when I was 7 years old, a girl asked me, Ramir, why are you playing with the jump ropes? Isn't that for girls? And like I would play with the jump ropes because the jump ropes, I was pretending they were people, basically. So I would just play with that by myself as a little kid. I know it's weird, right? It's very weird. It's weird. It's unacceptable. It's weird, I know. But, that's some of my experience. is that I would grab certain things and pretend it was whatever I want it to be. Because actual toys, I couldn't, they are what they are. So I would rely on imagination as a kid and use certain things like cut out stuff and cut out paper and pretend what I wanted it to be. Or like basically a jump rope is kind of like a string, like really long. So I'll pretend they were people as well. So I didn't know what was wrong with me. All I knew was even as a kid, it was not normal. I thought of it as not normal myself, but I just did it. You know, I didn't care that it was not normal. It was, I'm not forcing other people to do it. So I'm going to do it. I'm doing what I want to do without forcing other people to do it, basically. So I never cared that people told me it wasn't normal. But also as a kid, like, I did care if people thought like I was like insanely crazy because they used to call me crazy a lot when I was little. So then like I got a little older and it was like I didn't want people to think I'm crazy. But you know, when I was like 11, I had autism, and I was told I had it when I was 12. They said I had a specific learning disability, you know. But like I really could not stand the special ed classes during that time and the isolation, there was a lot of isolation. So it's like stuff like that, and it was weird in middle school because I was given regular classes, but like people would not let me go places by myself because in middle school, like, you're given lockers and stuff like that, and other students, they go anywhere by themselves, but they would tell other students to walk me to places, even walk me to the bathroom, and that was weird. I'm like, I don't need nobody to walk me to do that. But it was like in middle school, the teachers, they thought I was an idiot. They were only so nice to me because they thought of me as so stupid and an idiot, and that's why they were that nice to me. Then I went to high school. The teachers started to say I wasn't an idiot at all, and I was capable of a lot of things, and like I was given more regular classes with normal people. But you know, there's that. I was given more regular classes with normal people. The teachers started to be more honest. Basically, I spoke to the high school teachers. They told me when talking to my middle school teachers, the middle school teacher said I was an idiot. That's what the high school teacher said. But then the high school, see now, during COVID, it was virtual school, so it was impossible to meet me in person. But then in 2021, in-person school came along. They met me in person and they're like, hey, Ramirez, he's not a full-on retard. Like my middle school said, they said he was a retard. But then like, I was never diagnosed with retardation. It was high functioning autism, not retardation. High functioning autism. And it's like, I was secretive about like passions and certain interests I had in middle school. I got to high school, I was more open about passions, certain passions like history and all this other stuff and interests. And I just not cared. Like other students would not know what I was even talking about, but I didn't care because I'll talk to certain teachers, and some of the teachers they understood what I was talking about. Like there was the one guy who used to be around the cafeteria. I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name or not, but like he was a really cool guy, and like we both talked about history because he was a history teacher before. So people say, "What are we talking about?" He'll say, "We're talking about history," and we talked about like movies and like old musicals and stuff like that. And of course, other people will find it nerdy or not understand it, and they're not going to know what we're talking about. But like, as long as this person knows what I'm talking about, I'm going to talk about it and not care if other people don't even know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm talking to that specific person. Like, me and him talked about all these, like, stars and, like, famous people from, like, older movies that me and him both watched. The girl was looking at us. The girl said to me, "Ramir, you should have been born in 1920 or something." She said I should have been born in 1920 or 1930, she said. If she had no idea what me and that guy was talking about when we talked about a bunch of movies and stuff, but I was specifically talking to that guy, not her, because I knew she's not going to know. But yeah. So what I learned is that basically, because like they say, like neurodiverse people and special interests, like they use terms like that. So it was like I had certain special interests and I would talk about it, but I would only talk about it. I would choose who to talk about it with. I would choose to talk about it with another person if I know they understand it the same way I do. So if other people around didn't know, I didn't care. Like in the economics class, which was a normal regular ed class, like all the normal kids, some of them might fall asleep, which is understandable. I don't blame some of them. I don't blame them. Or some might not understand economics, or it might take long to get. But then like I would be speaking and I would talk to the teacher and stuff like that, and like, you know, so the teacher would know what I was talking about. But then other students, they wouldn't know what I was talking about, you know, which is fine, it's just, I didn't care if other students around me didn't know what I was talking about. I knew what I was talking about, and I knew the teacher understood what I was saying because, he was the person who taught the economics class. So of course he knows what he knows what I'm talking about. So, you know, it's just stuff like that. Then like another thing was social skills. Like throughout high school, I learned to advocate for myself. Like I got to pick the classes I wanted and stuff like that. And, like most schools and most students who are autistic or had a disability, they didn't really get to pick their classes the same way how I chose my classes and stuff, you know. Like I had other neurodiverse friends who were not stupid. They were not retarded. Like we're young people, of course, like young people are like I guess we're dumb. I guess I'm dumb because I'm a young person, so I guess I'm dumb. But it wasn't intellectual disability, like full on mental retardation, low IQ, intellectual nothing. Just like straight up retardation. Like we weren't that. We weren't mentally challenged. We had disabilities, but we weren't straight up mentally challenged. It was like my one friend was a normal guy, but in the special education system, they make you graduate until age 21. I graduated high school at age 18. They kept him there age 21. Well, right now he's still in high school, but they're keeping him in high school until he's age 21. And I'm like, that's wrong because my friend is a normal person. Like, we're neurodiverse, but he's not mentally retarded. He's capable of making his own decision. And I had other neurodiverse friends that were not mentally retarded at all. They did not have mental retardation, but their parents wouldn't let them go outside. Like, I was allowed to head outside. I was allowed to come back home anytime. I would come home at 12 a.m. and stuff. When I was 17, I had to be home before 8 p.m. But then when I was 18, I started coming home around 10 p.m., 12 a.m. at age 18. And I would go anywhere. I would head all over the neighborhood, go to the city and stuff like that. I would even travel outside of town all by myself. So it's like, you know. But my other neurodiverse friends, because there's neurodiverse, but then there's neurotypical. Neurotypical are the normal people, while neurodiverse are people with ADHD, people with autism, people with dyslexia, are the neurodiverse people. But then there's the normal people. So it's like, you know, my neurodiverse friends were very capable of many things. But for some reason, their parents just made them stay in the house. They weren't allowed to go to the park. They weren't allowed to go outside. They weren't allowed to go to the store by themselves. And it's like they were capable as many things like me, and their parents wouldn't let them do that stuff. But, I got to do stuff like that. And like, I was very well aware, like, I guess, like, I have shown weirdness, but weirdness that I shown in the past, I try to do things to control that weirdness and to be awareness. So it was like, I'm very socially awkward or like stuff like that. Or sometimes when I'm texting a neurotypical friend, a friend who is neurotypical, a friend who is normal, I might be a little shy. But just because somebody's shy doesn't mean they're neurodiverse. It's just, it takes me a little bit of time to text somebody, to ask them a question, to ask to see them. You know, it's just a little anxiety. But, you know, I still like overcome it and take care of the social difficulty that I have. But, like, neurotypical friends will be like, oh, Ramir's weird, but we still really like him. He's still cool. So it was like, I was considered weird by the neurotypicals, but somehow I was able to fit in with them and still be liked and considered cool by some of them. Now, if you think I'm lame, that's perfectly fine, whoever's watching the video. But some of the neurotypicals, because most of my friends are neurotypical, normal. Only a small percentage of them are neurodiverse. But, but, like, I was still, like, accepted by them. And, like, but becoming a young adult and going through high school, I got accepted by neurotypical people while being neurodiverse. When in middle school, I was not accepted by neurotypical people. In elementary school and middle school, I was not accepted by the normal people. Then high school, I got accepted by the normal people. But the neurotypical, normal as in neurotypical. But really, what I learned was, like, as of now and stuff, it's like, some people might do bad things, some people might do unacceptable things, and they'll say, oh, I'm neurodiverse, oh, I'm autistic, I don't know better. Like, those people who use it as an excuse, that is bad, and they should not do that. I learned to not do that. I would sarcastically joke around about myself, saying, oh, I'm autistic, I don't know anything. Like, I would sarcastically, and some of my other neurodiverse friends were sarcastically do that. But then one friend I know, he was sent to certain classes, not even because he was neurodiverse, but because he just had bad behavior. But pretty much he's basically a neurotypical person. Like, he's basically a normal person, but he got placed in the same class as neurodiverse people one time before, when he's not even neurodiverse. But he would joke around that he's neurodiverse because, well, he was in the same classroom with neurodiverse kids, even though he was a neurotypical. He was a normal person. So, like, he would joke around and say, well, I'm autistic, when he's really not. Like, he's really not an autistic person. But we'll joke around about it because we were in the same class together. So, of course, we joked around about it. Like, But, another thing is, like, using it as an excuse, yeah, that's a bad thing. Or even being sarcastic about it, people can still interpret it as, oh, you're using it as an excuse to avoid responsibility. And of course, that's bad. Or some people think because some people who claim to have anxiety or autism or whatever, they'll say, oh, they can't do anything at all. When that's not true. It's like, yeah, there are social difficulties, but then, like, you still have to have some level of strength. And of course, people are capable of that. And it's like, I still do what I have to do, despite any social challenges I have. Doesn't matter. But another thing is, one time somebody as a joke said, ha ha ha, what's it like being autistic? And I was like, Nothing really. I don't really care. I was just like, I really don't care. Like seriously, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, I just get by. Like, because really, it's like the terms really don't matter to me. Like, it's like it doesn't matter. Like, if you say autism, ADHD, it's like I'm still doing what I have to do. Like, I'm still being like independent. I'm still like, well, I'm not going to let nobody take my independence from me, my free will and independence. I will not let no one take it from me. So it's like, as much as you want to joke around about it, it's fine. I don't care. Like, if a neurotypical person wants to joke about me, it's like, it doesn't matter really, because it's like, when I meet new people and start meet like when I meet new people, and like there's a lot of people who don't know I'm neurodiverse. There's a lot of people who do know, but then there's a lot of people who don't know, and it's like I don't gotta tell them. But I'm already telling people on YouTube, but who's gonna watch this video anyway? So, you know, there's that. That like it just it really just doesn't, So it's like you see me act a certain way or something, and you'll be like, "Oh, Ramiro, are you okay?" And it'll be the neurodiversity at times. Like, oh, you might see me in some certain phase or moment where like I'm like, you know, like they say some of us like do that thing with our hands, like some autists like do that hand flicking thing or whatever it's called. And it's like, yeah, I do it sometimes. Or like when I'm thinking about something, I'll walk around back and forth and just be like, what I'm thinking about. But I'll do that like not out in public, you know, like if I'm at a certain, like for example, at home, or like sometimes around friends, but some of my friends will notice I do that. And I'll be like, oh, it's fine. I don't care. I don't care they notice that. That doesn't matter. It's like some of them be like, hey, Ramir, are you autistic, ADHD? And I'll be like, Like, I'll be like, I'll then have to always tell them, you know. Like, there might be certain times you have to tell somebody, but you don't always have to tell people that you're that. It's like, yeah, you were labeled a certain, like, something like autism or ADHD, but it's like, you can still live by and, like, just not even worry about it, you know. Maybe in school you had to worry about that a lot, but then, like, when you become an adult, terms like that don't matter, you know. You're an adult now. But I will make another video getting into another subject about infantizing neurodiverse people. That is a big problem, to infantize neurodiverse people, which will be the next video.